Me, me, me. Me, me, me. Mm. Flexington. I found that Onyx. Yo, shout out to my man Onyx. I'm about to put this Onyx into a pendant because I can never find you. Every time I carry this Onyx with me, you ain't never in the spot. Is what it is. But so today, it looks like this Onyx is gonna be mine. Today we are going to talk about fear. So I'm going to put fear, cult, and what that is. We're going to put a question mark. We're going to talk about fear. And what is fear? What is fear? What is fear? Wait, you know, be fire? Oh, I can't do it. Too bad. Too bad. Too bad. Too bad. Too bad. Oh, I can do it. Nah, it's not gonna let me do it. So I want to add an image to that John. Whatever. Yeah. So this looks like an Oompa Loompa. Getting my Thanos right now. So let's talk fear. Fear. What is fear? Most have said that fear is false evidence appearing real. Usually because it is a notion without, I want to say, wisdom. And wisdom is something that we gravitate towards. It's something that we inherit from experience. And when you're telling somebody that there is something in the closet and they believe you and they base their life and their lifestyle on that, it can ultimately degenerate the individual and their generations to come. And in fact, that's what it does. I mean, that's the mathematics behind it. If you follow a narrative that you're not sure of, so if you're wearing something or if you're taking something and you're not fully understanding of what you're taking or why you're wearing something, but only that if it isn't worn, that it can equal to death. Poetically, death occurs infinitely. I was going to say daily, but infinitely. So even in the moment when you're in conversation and you go from one level of thought and wisdom to which you came from, and then you meet another's thought and wisdom, and then those two things collide to then create a new perspective. But those come from action of practicality, of us saying something, and I said something, I took it in, I comprehended it, and then we had something new. And that is closer to the truth than the reality of what we are currently living in. Now, fear-based behavior, fear-based culture, fear-based cults have been existent since the beginning of the fear-based man. The fear-based man, if you're not understanding or available for understanding yet, I will break down what the fear-based man is. The fear-based man is the individual to whom cannot inherit any of the goodness of the space of the plane. It can't become one with the plane well enough to then I would say be respected by the nature, because nature respects the natural and it holds obedience for the individual to who is striding in the grass. So I use that example that the grass doesn't resist the animal walking across it. The sun doesn't incinerate the beings to which it symbiotically relates to. That there is so much so of a relationship with the sun and me that I share the same magnitudes of radiance as the sun. So much so that when it gives off its radiance and magnitude of radiance, that I'm able to consume it. And everything is in a cycle. Nothing is meant to be standing still. And that's proven with the way things move all through our nature. The wind blows, the water flows, the sun shines. these things always are consistent, but ever more so moving. Not straying too far away from what I'm saying, I say that to say this. When you're in the flow, there isn't any fear because there's nothing but wisdom and information. Falling is scary, or getting into something that's unknown is scary, but once you're in it and then you have your buoyancy, like getting into the water and it's cold at first, but then once you've regulated yourself within the space, you start to gain relationship and then control ability. And I use control in the sensibility of this, not the egotistical control saying I control everything, because that's not what this is, but knowing that it's time for you to lead in the dance of relationship with nature. It's a very important concept. Very important concept. The concept of understanding that you are nature, that you are a governor of the flow. That you are a governor of the flow. To govern something means to keep its pace, to keep its flow. The government wants to keep the flow apace. But for what? For who? Who are they governing for? Because the governed aren't who they're governing for. Hit me with a comment if you heard me. Because we ain't got nobody in the room right now, so we ain't got them likes. But hit me in a comment if you heard me. The governments to which govern society are not governing for society. They're governing for a hierarchy to who has a standard of living and require the masses to move in a certain dynamic. So there has to be a manipulation of their being, of their understanding, of their self. In turn, I'm getting right back into wisdom, into fear, because how the government is moving the people is with scarcity. You don't have this, you need to buy that. You're hungry, why wait? A lot of things are in urgency and scarcity. You got to get it now because you don't know how long it's going to last. Get it now. So then you do that thing, and then you come to find out that that thing really wasn't as true as it advertised itself as being. The wind is not rushing to get inside of your lungs. It is not trying to sell itself into you. You understand what I'm saying? I'll say it again. The wind is not trying to sell itself to you. The wind flows. The wind blows, excuse me. And because the wind blows, you have the ability to breathe in and relate and regenerate. That's truth. That's truth. Often we find our place of FOMO, fear of missing out. So we consume things. So we behave in a certain way. So we engage with people to whom are not good for us and our growth, because they're not good for themselves. Any person can be gracious. Any person can be gracious. Any individual to whom is breathing and a part of the human experience can be gracious. I can't speak for the animals. I can understand, but I can't speak for them because I don't know for sure. But as far as us, I got understanding for us. So any individual to whom is having a human experience on this plane can be gracious. And the fact that you can be gracious means that you can create and gravitate and magnify opportunities of that gratitude. To be gracious isn't to be ignorant, it's to have full understanding. For me to be gracious from something I'm uncomfortable with means that I understand that that thing is not going to change, and I'm not going to change it, but I accept it for where it's at, and I know that for my own preservation, my own graciousness within, that I need to set a perimeter. And if you don't set your perimeter, then you will be trampled. You have to have your perimeter for self, your buoyancy in the environments, but still be interactive with individuals so that you can evolve, so that you can grow. The predator is so important for the prey, so the prey gets sharp, so it knows how to survive and become its next level. So when I speak about the fear-based man, I don't speak about the fear-based man, and we will start to talk less about them because it's like a parasite. You don't need the parasite. The parasite needs you. So it needs to consume and provoke you into a certain state so it can consume. Do you understand that a parasite needs to put you into a state, a stasis, so that you produce certain things in your body that it can consume? And more likely those things are malicious for your vitality, but it's healthy for it. It's the same thing that what we're dealing with in the human experience. We're dealing with a predatory group, a predatory cult of individuals that seems to put themselves at a hierarchy and doesn't realize. I just wanted to see what this looks like under the light. And doesn't realize its scarcity is caused by its lack of collectiveness, its lack of harmony, its lack of wisdom. When you move in fear, all you can produce is fear. The things that you create, even if it's a boat, it's a fear-based boat. So then how you mechanize that boat would be only based off of how you're feeling. When you are at wisdom and you're compassionate for the space to understand the space, then you can make the thing that you need to navigate through the space, the people, places, and things that you need to navigate through the space, exactly where they need to be for the environment and not what you perceive the environment for being. When you move out of fear, if you go off of someone saying something and they're not in your trust circle, because your trust circle is your wisdom circle, and there are individuals to whom if they say something to you, you don't even go and investigate it on your own, because their validation is, no, they're wise, they're on point, and I'm with that. I'm harmonious to that. And then still there might be a mistake. But at best, when you're working in the right energies with the right individuals and you're keeping a clean mind space, at some point there's always going to be some sense of bias from being a certain way consistently with others. You're going to create an indoctrination. It's what it is. And there's the reason why we evolve, the reason why things go in a circle and change. They go in a circle. You might go pass by the place again, but the experience changes. Is because we are ever so evolving. We don't got all the answers. Even when we figure it out, that's only for the space and time. Even when you gain the wisdom, it's only for the space and time. Everything beyond that will be sorted as such, and you will apply that same amount of wisdom within the situations at hand. Now, look at this too. Ooh, man, what is this? Oh, it's a saddle book. It's healthy for you to have a perspective that it's healthy for you to keep a perspective of what's going on in your environment, truthfully. How we gain that better understanding is by knowing that how you perceive things is based off of where you've been and what you've been through. There's going to be things that you are unbeknownst to, things that you're like, whoa, I didn't know that, and those things are available to challenge your reality, to see if it's truth or if it's something that needs to be evolved. And I'm dancing around the idea of the fear-based narratives. I'm dancing around the idea of the fear cultures to which we've known have existed. If we're speaking just about human greatness, if we're talking about humans being just dope from their concentration, because that's what happens within concentration, is you become amazing, you become disciplined. We've had people, collectives, fear cults, like the KKK, threaten voters, threaten individuals to whom want to do something different from what you expect them to do. Because that's all it really is. It's not that they're doing something that they're not allowed to do. You expect them to be a certain way and move a certain way and act a certain way, and then when they don't act that way and they move beyond it, you want to then police them and say, this is the way you're supposed to be. And it comes from that habit. And this would be colorful and creative and imaginative in my own hypothesis to some degree, but there's a lot of fact behind what I'm about to say, is when you are a fear-based individual, a fear-based human being who lacks the ability to connect with the nature, then a lot of the times you're going to do some obtuse shit and have to learn. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. So because of those mistakes that you make, it's like when you win, when you shoot a ball, you feel inspired. When you make mistakes, you feel the opposite of that. If you're doing that all the time, it's going to create a resonance. If you don't know how to then clean yourself off and know it's okay, you're supposed to fall and learn and gain. But if you're like no legs in a running race, it's difficult. You know what I'm saying? And I won't go that extreme, but there are individuals, beings on this earth that do not work with the symbiotic nature. And because of that, it's always frustrating for them. And because it's always frustrating for them, they have to box everything. They can't look at that flower and just say, man, that's a beautiful thing. Let me just look at it. Let me smell it. They have to investigate it. They have to proc it. They have to dissect it. They have to go through it to such a level because they don't naturally, symbiotically get with the program. That when you see lightning, you feel it, you understand it, you know what it is, my kindred people. I'm telling you, there's always going to be a separation some way, somehow, if people want to be separated. But if people want to understand that we have our spaces, that not all flowers grow in the same pot, but we should be in a garden together, or we should be in the jungle together, then we can live, then we can be, then we can break that idea of fear-based and then start to see self. Because if you're working off of fear, and then it's fear from somebody else influencing you to be a certain way, dress a certain way, talk a certain way, react to people that think that you're supposed to be a certain way, then you're never really truly living. Because you got to go into your home space, into here, and be something that you were out here and improve on that. You're not living. You're not being. And I don't want that for you. I didn't want that for myself. I've been in many avenues, many spaces where it's like, oh, so yo, like, this is the way the bros are. This is the way I gotta be. This is the way we move it. And then we all move that way. And it's mistakes. Because they don't get inspired by seeing something new. And I'm in the fear because I feel like I need to move a certain way around a certain amount of individuals so I can then be brethren. When we are automatically in that sense, we are already together. We just have to bring those nuances of self into the situation so that we can Voltron. But not in a fear-based culture. In a fear-based culture, we're always fighting each other for little things, like what we like to do with others. Why am I telling you about something that we're not doing together? Why do you need to know about it? You only need to know how to row the boat if you're getting in the boat with us. Yo, this is how we roll the boat. This is how we move through the sea. Okay? Other than that, you should probably focus on yourself. And if you were focusing on yourself, then you wouldn't be so busy telling people to put something up, telling people to go and get something, because you would know your own personal buoyancy and say, you know what? There's probably a lot of people that can't do that. Probably a lot of people breathe differently. Deviated septums. Like, what happened to people understanding deviated septums and people got masks on? Are you crazy? Like, it's only time I'm going to say the M word. Because you guys should know better. I don't need to preach anything to you. I'm going to just speak on it. You guys should know better. We're not all jumping off the roof. How high? How high you going to jump before you start to see over the bullshit? Before you start to see, oh, no. Oh, they don't know shit. Because let me go back to that space where I wanted to assimilate with the brethren. And I got to be a certain way and walk a certain way. And I forget self. Because the more you start to do things like everybody else and be that, because you think you're supposed to be that in that box, and then don't bring nothing new, so you just a basic bitch, you will forget about yourself. It'll be further and further and further away. The self to which you were supposed to become. So be the dope you want to smoke. And steam on that. You are the master of your own time and space. You embody the infinite possibilities of self. You're the one. You're the one. You be in peace with that. Peace is within. Peace is pace. Peace is pace. One more. Peace is pace. Pace brings wisdom, information. If you're moving too fast towards something, you're going to pass it and you're not going to understand what it is. Kindred. Move with love. Love will give you time. Love is that. The opposite of that is, gotta go to work, gotta be a bad bitch, ooh, gotta be a bad bitch. And then look what that causes. Turmoil in your space. And your weed drops everywhere. So what do you want for your life? What truly, truly, truly is your experience? And what fears impede on your experience, impede on your naturalness, impede on the beautiful individual that I can't wait to be around? Who, where, and what is stopping you from being in your natural self? Because those people, places, and things are in fear, and they need you to be in fear. Because what? It ain't just misery that loves company. Fear does too. Be the dope you want to smoke. I love y'all. Thousands and thousands and thousands. Energy don't die. So I loved you 1,000 years ago, and I'm going to love you 10,000 years in the future. Take care of yourselves. You know the vibes. Sanctuary is here. Supreme is still here. We about to turn up. We're going to do a stuck launch. I hope that the right people are ready to be at that event, because it's going to be a small event. We'll talk about that. Be the dope you want to smoke. Big flex at all times. Take care of yourself eternally. I love y'all. Flex!